By the grace of Almighty God, we stand fully prepared today in a state of exceptionally high defensive and military readiness. We are meticulously keeping the movements of our adversaries in the entire region under constant surveillance, and we are observing and tracking their every action with the utmost intensity.
They are completely under our surveillance, and since we are fully aware of their malicious intentions, our hand is also on the trigger. If they make a mistake, without a doubt, they will certainly jeopardize their own security, the security of their soldiers, the security of the region, and the security of the criminal Zionist regime.
Billboards erected in central Tehran showing coffins draped in U.S. and Israeli flags carried a stark warning on Saturday. Watch out for your soldiers, as tensions with Washington and its allies intensified. Iranian Army Chief Amir Hatami said the country's armed forces were on high alert, warning the United States and Israel against launching any military attack. His remarks came amid what Tehran described as heavy U.S. military deployments in the Gulf region. Iran has repeatedly accused Washington of escalating regional instability, while U.S. officials say the deployments are defensive and aimed at deterring threats to American forces and allies.
The warning is clear, and it's coming from the sea. As Iran announces a live-fire naval exercise in the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical energy choke point, the United States Central Command is urging restraint. CENTCOM is calling on Iran's Revolutionary Guard to avoid dangerous and escalatory behavior, warning that the narrow waterway, used by nearly 100 merchant vessels every single day, cannot afford miscalculation. CENTCOM says it will not tolerate unsafe actions, including high-speed approaches toward U.S. warships, low-altitude armed flyovers, or weapons pointed at American forces. The message is blunt: professional conduct or consequences. This warning comes as President Donald Trump confirms the United States is moving a larger naval force toward Iran, larger, he says, than recent deployments off Venezuela.
We have a large armada, flotilla, you can call it whatever you want, heading toward Iran right now, even larger than what we had in Venezuela. It's still in front of Venezuela. The Venezuelan situation, the leadership is doing a very good job. We're very happy, and we're getting along very, very well. And we're inviting countries of the world very shortly. They're going to be starting to take the oil. We're going to be heading that with the country, and it's worked out really well. We're now sending actually a larger number of ships to Iran, and hopefully we'll make a deal. If we do make a deal, that's good. If we don't make a deal, we'll see what happens.
Are you giving Iran any kind of deadline to make a deal before potentially taking
Only
military
they
action?
know for sure.
Have you communicated that to them
Yeah,
directly?
I have.
Does your residence do you have a timeline for when you're going to pull back potentially the federal presence there?
No, we'll see how it all works out. You know, they have to float someplace. They might as well float near Iran, but it's a rough situation going on. So I stopped 837 people, as you know, last week from being hung. They were going to hang 830. It was all set, and I mean, I'm looking at the people behind me. They're saying, "What kind of racing's a lot nicer than that?" Right? They were going to hang 837 people, and I told them, if you do it, you're going to pay a price like nobody's ever paid before. And they pulled back. I appreciated that. But a lot of people are being killed, so we'll see what happens. I can say this: they do want to make a deal.
Is your plan to replicate there what you just did in Venezuela?
I don't want to say that. I don't want to talk. I mean, I don't want to talk about anything having to do with what I'm doing militarily. But we have a tremendously powerful fleet there. We have the most powerful ships in the world. We have the most powerful military by far in the world. We showed that on numerous occasions. I mean, I rebuilt the military in my term. If I didn't, I wouldn't, I think, be able to say that. But I rebuilt the military, the entire United States military in my first term. And now we're building it bigger, better, stronger than ever before. I'm adding to it. We're adding something called a battleship. You would find this interesting. You know the old-fashioned beautiful battleships? And we're adding up to 25 of them. Each battleship is 100 times more powerful than the battleships of the 1940s, those big, powerful ones with the guns, because of what the ships carry. But we're going to build 10, and then we'll see how we like them, and we're going to go and do another 15 after that. Could be up to 25 battleships. 100 times more powerful. Can you imagine that? And it's peace restraints. We don't want to use them, but if we have to use them, we will.
Behind the scenes, however, the tone may be shifting. According to a Western source familiar with U.S.-Israeli coordination, diplomacy may no longer be the central question. The source tells Iran International that decision-making circles have moved past whether a military strike will happen and are now focused only on when. The scenario being discussed, the source claims, would be unprecedented, aimed not at negotiation, but at delivering a decisive blow to Iran's governing structure. A campaign, he says, unlike anything Iran has faced before. Joint U.S.-Israeli assessments reportedly view the current moment as a rare operational window, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, with a higher tolerance for risk than in previous confrontations. Israel, the source says, is on full alert. One scenario under discussion, waiting for a spark, a single Iranian missile that could justify a much broader and more destructive response. If Israel becomes directly involved, the source warns, past conflicts would look small by comparison. Still, publicly, Washington maintains its position. CENTCOM says U.S. forces will continue to operate with professionalism, protect freedom of navigation, and safeguard personnel, ships, and aircraft across the Middle East. But as warships move closer, as live-fire drills begin, and as deadlines remain undisclosed, the question is no longer just about diplomacy. It's about how close this standoff is drifting to the edge.
As the United States moves warships and strike assets closer to Iran, Tehran is sending a defiant message. It will not surrender its nuclear program, its missiles, or its leverage, no matter the pressure. As per Al Monitor, a senior Iranian official says the Islamic Republic will not accept U.S. demands to halt uranium enrichment on Iranian soil or curb its ballistic missile program. Those demands, Washington has made clear, are non-negotiable. Anything less, the White House warns, could trigger American military action. President Donald Trump, meanwhile, confirmed that he has given Iran a deadline. Only Tehran knows exactly when it expires. Speaking from the Oval Office, Trump acknowledged that a massive U.S. naval force is already moving into position.
Are you giving Iran any kind of deadline to make a deal before potentially taking
Only
military
they know
action?
for sure.
Have you communicated that to them
Yeah,
directly?
I have.
Do you have a timeline for when you're going to pull back potentially the federal presence there?
No, we'll see how it all works out. You know, they have to float someplace. They might as well float near Iran, but it's a rough situation going on. So I stopped 837 people, as you know, last week from being hung. They were going to hang 830. It was all set, and I mean, I'm looking at the people behind me. They're saying, "What kind of racing's a lot nicer than that?" They were going to hang 837 people, and I told them, if you do it, you're going to pay a price like nobody's ever paid before. They pulled back. I appreciated that. But a lot of people are being killed, so we'll see what happens. I can say this, they do want to make a deal.
Iran says it is open to talks, but not ultimatums. The senior official told Al Monitor that Tehran refuses to enter negotiations doomed to failure, warning that failed talks could be used as a pretext for another war. Iran insists it will not negotiate over what it calls its conventional defenses, including missiles, saying those capabilities are essential to national survival. On nuclear enrichment, Tehran says it would only accept negotiations that recognize Iran's right to peaceful nuclear activity, a position Washington flatly rejects. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has imposed sweeping new sanctions on Iran's leadership, targeting Interior Minister Eskandar Momeni and several senior security officials accused of directing a brutal crackdown on anti-government protests. The Treasury Department says thousands of peaceful protesters were killed under forces Momeni oversees. Sanctions were also slapped on businessman Babak Zanjani and 2 UK-registered digital asset exchanges accused of laundering money for Iran's Revolutionary Guard. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent accused regime elites of racing to move stolen wealth out of the country, vowing to hunt down their financial networks. Trump has warned Iran that mass executions of protesters would cross a red line, claiming the regime backed off planned executions, though Tehran has not confirmed it. Iran, meanwhile, is issuing its own warning. If the United States strikes, the official says, Tehran will use everything at its disposal to respond. With deadlines set, sanctions tightening, and fleets converging, the question is no longer whether the crisis is escalating, but whether the next move is made at the negotiating table or on the battlefield.